Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I have some eye-opening thoughts for you related to none other than money. And these are some things that God is moving me to think about, because what do we do sometimes in our prayer time? We talk to the Lord about money. We pray about money. We ask Him for some insight as to what we are doing with our money. We are looking for some opportunities to increase our wages, even if we're not coming right out and asking for money, but you are saying something that is related to prosperity while you are hoping, wishing, praying, and everything else for a change in your bank account. Okay? One thing that the Lord showed me is who is responsible for your money. And of course, initially I'm thinking it is me, right? I mean, if I am doing some things with my money, therefore I must be in control of it. But then I sat back and I thought a little while longer, and I recognized when a message came through my phone that I am not in fact in control of my money, but that my children's requests are. Some of you parents, you are not in control of your money like you think you are, but your children are directing your money. They come to you with requests, and you haven't even gotten the things that you need yet. They tell you what they need for school or college, or if they have a family, we have this item and that one that we need. So you will, of course, being that caring parent, make sure that their needs are met, whether small or large. Then you will go back and look at some things that you need to take care of. I will tell you that the Lord told me that I was making some mistakes. It's interesting how after years and years and years of thinking that all I have to do is go to the Lord and pray about my money woes, that I'll be okay, only to find out that it's not the money woes that you should be talking to the Lord about, but it is those issues that you need to address where you are in control of your monies. That it isn't about asking the Lord to take over, but it's about you doing the necessary work that is going to get God to act. Okay? So I'm not just going to the Lord and talking about all of the issues, but I've got to look at what am I doing or not doing to cause the issues in the first place. Lord, I want you to act. I want you to do. Can you, will you, and all of these other things. And the Lord says, excuse me? No, I don't think so. You're going to have to do some things first. And then when He shows us what those things are, now the ball is rolling. Now we are on the move. Okay? Sometimes He's not going to show us. He's just going to allow us to look at ourselves, since we like to esteem ourselves at times, or we think we know more than others and so forth, to make some mistakes. And then finally say, okay, I give in. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right, Lord. So here I was looking at my situation, and I said, no, I'm really not in control of my money. It is other people's requests. It's other people's dramas and responsibilities and whatever else that's governing my money. So the only way that I'm going to be able to have complete control over my money is, number one, say no. Number two, come up with a plan that involves my needs first and foremost, so that I am not resentful about what I'm doing for other folks. And on top of that, questioning where I am donating, investing, spending, as well as saving. Now, when you take a look at your financial portfolio, what do you come up with? When you look at those receipts that you receive when you go to the store, what are you coming up with? How much money is being spent on things you need versus things that you want? How many things on that list are not your items, but someone else's? Another question that comes to mind is, am I funding my own retirement or am I funding someone else's retirement? Are there some things that I'm doing or not doing that is keeping me from getting to where I need to go? Now, as we know, as believers, we don't retire in the way that the world looks at retirement. There is no retirement for the believer. You are working. You are working either your mouth, your hands, or both, but there is no retiring. Now, you can retire from a job. You can retire from the fact that you must work. Now it becomes an option, or you say, I'm not returning back to the workforce. Okay, then what are you going to do? And then the Lord showed me visions of different people, and he said, what are they doing now that they have retired? They spent all those years working for other people. Then finally the opportunity comes where they can sit down. What are they doing? And I said, well, they're sitting down. So basically you retired to sit down. Some people say, oh no, that's not the plan. The plan is that I'm going to travel. Okay. So then you retire to do what? Spend up your money. Go in places only to find out that they're not as fulfilling as you thought. All these years I wanted to go here, I wanted to go there, and it really isn't all that. And now I've got some needs for my home, some needs for myself, some medical bills and everything else that needs to be taken care of. So how is the money being replenished? It all depends on the types of investments that you made over the years. But if I am not investing anything, right, and I'm too busy doing some things to save other people some money, then I'm not going to have anything for me, right? By the time I get older. Now, some of you mothers, I'm speaking specifically to you, because two things that I mentioned are two big mistakes that as mothers we have done. And for some of us, we continue to do. But lo and behold, if we continue to draw near to the Lord is going to see us through. But we've got to be willing to make some changes, though, because God is not going to just say, okay, I'm going to help you out, but we're not willing to do anything differently. We're not willing to talk to people who know more information than we do. We're not willing to read the necessary books to put us on the right track. We are not sitting in front of television screens and learning a thing or two of what not to do. Notice I didn't say what to do, but what not to do, because there are a lot of foolish things that people do in the entertainment world, and we can learn from some of their mistakes. Okay. So as a mother, you know that you don't need to buy everything all at once, but you go ahead and you do it. And then you don't have anything left over for that emergency situation that shows up. And as a mother, you are too busy meeting the needs of possibly your husband, okay, or partner. You are trying to meet the needs of maybe even the church and some relatives. Okay, but once again, what is in your savings? What are you donating? What are you investing? What are you spending? How much exactly? And can you even afford to keep doing this? Because once you pull out your calculator and then you start looking at the future, you see that you don't have too much of anything when it's all said and done if you keep on doing what you're currently doing. So one particular year, the Lord spoke to me and he said that you're going to cut the holidays out altogether. Okay. That means that includes birthdays. Now, he had already convicted me on the pagan holidays and so forth. So when we looked at that from an economic standpoint, that was a huge savings. No Christmas tree, no ornaments, no traveling for holidays, no getting around folks and having to buy them gifts and all that. Okay, that was huge. Okay, then turned around and looked at, okay, now what's up with these birthdays? Okay, and then when I looked at each birthday, I noticed that each birthday spending anywhere between $50 to $100+. Is it really necessary? You're going to have those moments where you just need to fast. No, we're not going to have the annual birthday celebrations because my monies for this year are telling me that that's not going to work. That somebody will be lucky to have a card, you see. And is it necessary to celebrate everybody's birthday? Can't you just select a few? Or maybe just you do you for that year, right? And then look at the calculations at the end of the year and see how much money you saved as compared to the year before. Okay. Now, another thing I noticed was that the Lord speaks to me, tells me, okay, you've got this cash. What are you going to do with it? And I'll say, well, what am I supposed to do with it? And then it becomes one of those situations where at the right time, at the right place, with the right person, I had just enough money to give to that individual who was indeed in need. Okay, because the Lord willed for that situation to take place. But what about those situations where God has nothing to do with it, but you're just giving money just to be giving money? Okay, because it makes you feel good, because you have your own personal reasons. Okay. Are you keeping track of that cash? That's why some people, they will look at their finances and say, okay, now where is the ATM withdrawals? What did I do with those monies? And then once you think about it, that money was given to the store, that money was given to a friend, that money was given in an envelope to a relative, what have you. Okay. How much of that money is being unaccounted for? That right there is a motivation in and of itself. I'm not going to keep giving my money away and not knowing where it's going. Okay. That's a motivation in terms of saving, to be more specific. Okay. Because if you know where your money is going, you're going to be more likely to want to save more of it. But if you don't know where your money is going, then you're going to be less likely to save it because, well, I don't know where it's going. As long as somebody's being helped, as long as something's getting paid. No, but you do need to know, because you never know whoever is in control of that money, when they might go away, might pass away. Okay. You also need to know where your money is going, because, quite naturally, issues come up, right? Things come up. And if you have a record of where the money is going, then you won't feel so bad, because you are in control of it. You know exactly what is taking place. And you also know when to circumvent money too, because if I know that I keep paying $5 out to something and it's not giving me $10 in rewards, then I don't want to keep just giving my money away like that. Okay. Taking a look at your finances is going to help you through a lot of storms. Okay. It's going to help you when there are those sudden surprises. It's going to help you when you're talking to your own children or friends about money. It's going to help you in terms of your relationship as well, because we don't have to sit down and have the long conversation with partners. Instead, all we got to do is start putting up all of the paperwork and some other things on the refrigerator. And I'm sure a person can look at some things and see statistically, we're in error. We've got some problems. If you become transparent like that, that will definitely motivate someone to want to talk to you. Why you got all these receipts sitting up here? What's this all about? This is all the money that's been spent buying A, B, and C. What? Mm-hmm. And you don't even have to, once again, have that long conversation. Sometimes people respond better when there are visual things right in front of them, things that make them go, what? Mm-hmm. Some of you all, you're feeling moved to do that sort of thing. And that's what you should do. Leave the checkbook out there. Leave the statement from the bank out there. Leave the receipts of the items that you've been spending so much money on, and encourage your partner to go over there and check it out. If you have to have a visual board, if you have to, as I said earlier, stick some stuff on the refrigerator because they got to go in and out of it to eat. If you've got to post some things up so that the whole household understands this is what's taking place. Light costs, you can even do this with children. You can even draw little pictures, little cartoons, or take images and make it fun for them to look at. This is where the money goes for lights. This is where the money goes for gas. This is where the money goes for electricity. This is why we don't go out to eat, because we spend this amount of money on groceries. This is why we don't participate in a lot of family events, because this is where the money's going for other events that are related to your school, or money's going toward college or whatever. If everybody is on board and everybody sees what's going on, then there is no mystery about it. And it doesn't look like somebody's being deceptive or they're lying and all this other stuff. But the problem that I know personally I've ran into over the years with some folks is that they are liars and they are not transparent. They say that money is going here, there, and everywhere else, and it turns out that money really isn't going where they claim. What I found out over the years was that folks who said that they didn't have any money really did have money, and they were stockpiling it or hoarding it and doing what they wanted. Meanwhile, folks around them had to make major sacrifices just so that that person or group had the monies that they wanted for what they wanted. Okay. That's why when I ask a question about one's personal retirement, that money, are you putting money away for you, or are you helping somebody else? And then what happens later on in life is, and I seen this firsthand, the Lord showed me, he said, look out the window, and I was riding a bus, which is, I have to add, is a savings compared to purchasing a vehicle, or having to maintain an old vehicle. So I'm looking out the window right while I'm riding the bus, and I see a long line of senior citizens, and they are waiting for something. So I talked to someone about this long line of senior citizens that are always waiting on this particular day when I ride the bus. And the individual told me, she said, oh, those seniors, they're waiting for food. I said, what? She said, yes. She said, those long lines are for food. And it's interesting because the Lord has showed me in the spirit that these were parents who had sacrificed so much of their lives and were still doing this sort of thing for their children, to the point where they were waiting in line for free food. Okay. And then some of them weren't even sacrificing any type of money for children because they didn't even have them. They had addictions. They had habits. And so food wasn't that much of a priority for them in terms of buying it or saving for it. Instead, they felt like the best way to get their needs met was to stand in this line and get the free food. And then, of course, there were other lines for free stuff. So some people even had money, but just didn't want to spend that money because they were fearful of what might happen in the future. So they take advantage of the free lines. Okay. Free food, free shelter, free, discounted programs for electricity and, free phones and all of these things. Okay. So that they didn't have to be worried about these extra bills. Now, this is a lot to take in, I know, but these are things to think about when it comes to the future, because we're not going to be young forever. It's not going to happen. Whatever you consider as young, you might consider 20 something, 30 something, 40 plus, or maybe even 50 plus, 60, still young. You're not going to be where you are today for always. So these are things to think about when it comes to money. And when the children are asking for these items, you have a designated time period of when you're going to supply their needs. Then after that, sorry, you better figure it out. You better do some chores, take up a part-time job if they're of age, encourage them to go and help someone else so that that someone else can pay them, so that you're not the one that's always supplying the money. Encourage some of these who are old enough to be on the internet to make some extra money. You better come up with some supplemental income, some passive income, sweetheart. But this going to the Lord and asking him about money issues and money direction and money guidance and all things money, when God gives us the wisdom, when he gives us the skills and so forth, we've got to do the right thing. So as I go on this journey with some of you all, because I know some are not going to even attempt this journey because it's embarrassing or because it's too much to think about or they're too stressed and what have you, pray all that mess away. Because as we embark on this journey, when it comes to money, you best believe that some folks are going to be liberated in mind, body, and spirit when it comes to these money challenges. We talked about family a lot last year. We talked about relationships, and we talked about work, and we talked about the emotional as well as physical bondage that we put ourselves in addition to people as well as demonic entities and activity in and around. But now since finances is hot, people are concerned with a new president in office and so forth. Yes, we're going to embark on that journey. So periodically, you're going to hear audios related to money. You're also going to hear audios where I'm talking about giving. Okay, because a lot of times people, they are very concerned about themselves. As I mentioned briefly, we got some folks that lie and say that they don't have money when they really do. They're hoarders, and the Lord sees, he knows their bank accounts. He knows that they can afford to give, but they choose not to. Okay, the Lord sees what is ahead in the future and around the corner. If we trust in him, then we don't have any problem giving somebody 10%, 15%, 20%, or even more than that, because we trust so much in the Lord that we know that he's going to supply our needs. He's going to take care of us when trouble comes, because trouble will come. But at least we know that we'll be all right because God said it's okay. You see, I remember times where I was like, oh, I don't know if I should give this $5. The Lord said, just give the $5. But I don't know if I should give the $5. But you know, sometimes, Lord, sometimes these things happen. Give the $5. I gave it $5. And then next thing I know, I ended up having $15 or $20. Okay. Meanwhile, I was agonizing for that, over that $5. And the Lord said, you're supposed to give with a cheerful heart. Sometimes the only way we're going to get some of these scriptures is we have to do some things, experience the anguish, the pain, the upset, the stress for us to fully realize what God is saying in his text. I know it's not everybody who does this sort of thing where they're hesitant about giving money. Some people just do it freely, but it's a process for some folks. It's not easy. Just because it happened easily for you, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen easily for everybody else. Then there's been times where I went on, wrote a check, and later on felt really bad because the check ended up bouncing. Okay. Why? Because I didn't keep track of my finances. It wasn't that the enemy had something to do with it and I should have never gave to this one and that one. The Lord said you were supposed to keep track of your finances. Check your finances before you go writing off checks. You see? Then there's been those times where I end up getting into heated arguments with former partners, especially before I got saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled. Getting into arguments, being real frustrated because I'm doing this percentage of paying off this and taking care of that, and you're only doing this, that, and the other, and I feel like you're taking advantage of me and I make less money than you do, and blah, 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 blah. And when you deal with selfish people, then you are going to have those arguments. I know that we have, over the course of my years, I know that I've tried to avoid those discussions, but you just can't. After a while, you get so frustrated that a person is not doing their part that it does come out in explosive rage. It does come out where people are yelling and throwing things and crying and folks are cursing and everything else. Yes, it is about money. It's about the fact that somebody is not taking care of responsibilities like they are supposed to. And so that's when you got to reevaluate. Do you want to spend the next 5, 10, 15 plus years dealing with somebody who they're supposed to take care of these bills, but they choose not to? They're very critical of you, but yet they are not doing their part. They have say so on everything that's going on. You can't move right and you can't move left. And meanwhile, you are frustrated. You're upset. Things need to get done, and all they want to do is complain about how much money they have to spend. I've dealt with people like this, and it hurts because you know that your heart is in the right place when you're going to them and asking them, can you please contribute to this, that, and the other? And they say, oh, I don't know about all that. I don't want to spend that money. Okay, are we going to be in a relationship or are we going to be in a war? Everybody has to do their part. Then you got some people who they're just along for the ride. They're not interested in doing anything. They're not interested in contributing their time, their energy, their money, not even a prayer. Can't even pray for you. Okay, these could be people that are intimate partners, or it could be relatives or roommates or what have you. But irregardless of those titles, these are just folks that are giving you grief. And you've got to take their names over to the Lord and pray, but you also have to put in certain measures and boundaries and so forth to keep from being taken advantage of with some of these folks. Okay? God has his season when he's working with all of us when it comes to the family and making contributions, when it comes to friendships and so forth. And there are going to be those seasons where, yes, we are quite giving. We're quite generous. We're doing everything that we're supposed to. But then there are those seasons that come along where the Lord is going to really convict you. If you, depending on how close you are with him, he's going to convict you and tell you, don't you give another dollar to this one. Don't you go over here and spend any more money to entertain folks. You gave as much as you're going to give. And I'll tell you that I have been in that season now for a little while. Okay. Not real long, but for a little while, where the Lord said, you gave as much as you can possibly give. You're not giving any more of your time, because time is money, right? I'm supposed to be working on projects, and I'm giving my time to folks who they can't help me. They can't provide anything for me or my family. They're not able to pay bills. So why am I spending 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on the phone with these individuals? Nope. That season was over. Then the other thing that came along was spending money on things that weren't working. Okay. When it comes to business, this is supposed to work. This is what they tell me. But do I see any results? No. Okay. Time to cut that one off. We're not going to continue to pay for this service or for this program or for this product if it's not working. And then, of course, there's been those connections that you make with some people, and they claim they're going to help you. They claim they're going to be there for you. And instead, what you get is a little bit of help, or it's just enough. It's not enough that's going to propel you. It's not enough that's going to empower you. It's just enough. Okay. And so in time, God deals with those people too, because those folks are the ones that are convicted. I know some of you all may not have thought of this, but those are the ones who are convicted to do more for you, but they choose not to. Okay. God has blessed them with more to do. And yet, no, I'm sorry. I can't afford to help you any more than I've already done. Oh, okay. But yet you're receiving how much benefit from me? And then you start looking at how much you do versus how much they do. And then you see, they could afford to do a little bit more, but they choose not to. Okay. So we put those people's names in the hat, so to speak, and let God deal with them. We are not put on this planet to be used and abused, and that includes financially. And some of you all, you know that you have done the best that you possibly could. You know there's nobody on your back about, oh, you should do more. Oh, you should give more. There's no one doing that. So you don't have that to be concerned about. If anything, the Lord is speaking to you and telling you to start saying no. Start reviewing how much money you're putting out, and start taking that money and doing what it is that he calls you to do. And it's not always about, oh, I'm supposed to give to the church, because a lot of times, especially if you're not getting anything from that church and the church is lukewarm and the ministers are not stepping up to the plate, no, you don't need to give anything to that church. I have been convicted by the Lord about giving to churches that are not suitable, that God knows what's going on with the leadership. The leadership thinks that people don't know, but God will give you that spiritual gift of discernment, and you will know, oh, I'm not going to continue to pay these tithes like this. And look, all he's doing is spending up some money to buy yet another gift or another token or whatever. That's not about taking care of the man of God or woman of God when they just spending money just to be spending it on silly things. And you will see some of that will take place. The other thing that I found too, before I close out this message, when it comes to money, is that the enemy is going to use money to put you in a place of bondage where you're not able to help yourself or even do the things of God. It seems like no matter what money is put in your hand, it just goes, and you don't seem to experience any true benefit. That's because the enemy has your mind so distracted. He has your mind thinking that everything needs to be done all at once. And so you keep coming up short. You don't allocate any money towards savings or investing or anything like that. You just take your money and you say, I got to spend this amount of money on this, that, and the other. And so therefore you always feel like you're never getting ahead. Rather than coming up with plans to pay stuff off, you drag it all out for a long period of time. Yes, there are times where you're not going to be able to pay something off because you're too busy focused on meeting someone's needs or yourself. But then there comes that season where everybody's taken care of. So why are you still spending up a large amount of money all at once like that? So you're supposed to spread it out a bit. This is something that I've been learning, okay? It's a work in progress. But when you spread it out and you don't spend, let's say, for instance, I give you $100, okay? And you know that out of that $100, you got about $50 worth of needs, okay? We're talking about needs, not wants, but $50, a small amount, right? And it's maybe toiletries, okay? Personal products. So you spend about that much, okay? Meanwhile, though, the next month, you see that you haven't ran out of any of those items, or maybe they're just a little bit low, but it's not to the point where you really need to spend another $50. Okay. But instead you go ahead and do it. Now there you go. There's $100. It's gone. You didn't bother to think that, is there anything else that I might be able to use this money for? You see? And so you keep finding yourself coming up short. I keep coming up short. I'm not able, because you're spending too much money on stuff that is not considered an immediate need, like right now. So if I have something that is right now, that means that the majority of my money needs to go to the right now. Is the right now that, let's say that there is no buses nowhere in your vicinity and you have to rely on your car. Okay. Then there's an issue with it. The right now would be getting that item fixed, even if it means that you have to have some kind of payment plan, not dumping all the money into it right then and there. Meanwhile, you're short and you're not going to have no money until 2 weeks from now. Is there a payment plan? Okay, now for that moment, I have the payment plan. The payment plan may last 3 months. It may last less than that, but there's a payment plan. But that company doesn't have all my money, you see. But if I'm always spending everything up all the time and I'm always looking at everything as a right now need, I'm always going to stay broke. So you've got to stretch some things out. You've got to look at what is it that needs to be done right now versus what needs to be done later on. Okay? Now, some folks, they're putting their lives in danger, especially when it comes to a vehicle or even their homes, because they keep putting off the essentials. Case in point, when we had the carbon monoxide issue and the neighbor didn't do all of what she was supposed to be doing, I'm sure at some point there was something that told her, wait a minute, I need to check some of this old equipment down here and see if it needs to be checked out. It needs to be tweaked, or maybe I need to put something new in here too, or talk to the landlord or what have you. But no, I'm going to go ahead and do something else. Okay, so now the attention is placed off of what I had been meaning to do, and now I'm doing everything that's non-essential. Okay, now I don't know if that situation played out, but it's a good example of how you can put yourself in a dangerous situation putting things off. Okay, and you can also affect other people as well. You know, you need certain equipment for your car, and you know that it is going to cause some problems if you don't get these needs met. Those are essential needs. These are the kind of things that you might even get into a major accident because you keep putting them off. But yet you're going to go and take money and give it to someone. That's not considered essential. Well, they have their needs too. That's not essential though. The essential need is to take care of what is in front of you first and foremost. And if it's going to affect somebody else, then you need to sit down and have that conversation with them. Even if that means that you've got to be the one to say, okay, I can't give you the 75% that you want, but I can give you 20% of the 75% and I'll make up for it later on. But right now the immediate need is, and then you go ahead and you meet that need. Don't lie about it though. Some people will say that, oh, I got this need. Oh, you do? Mm-hmm. And then you look and see that they still haven't taken care of it. So why did you even use that as an excuse? Oh, that's right. Because you're covering up the fact that you really wanted to go on that Vegas trip, or you really wanted to buy some gift for a boyfriend or a parent or what have you. So you took that money that was supposed to be used for something important and you did something else with it. Well, God's not pleased, because now you show up as a deceptive person, a lying person. And guess what? You'll be that boy who cried wolf later on. And when you really need somebody's help, they're going to say, I know you. No, I'm not going to help you out. You see? So we are going to walk down this journey, okay? This journey where God is on the right hand and he's going to show us some things about money. We're going to talk about some things that a lot of folks don't want to talk about. But as I get more knowledge from the things that the Lord is leading me to, in addition, that means books, that means audios, what have you, as well as what I see in the spiritual realm, I'm going to share it with my YouTube NM Enterprise audience, because I don't want any of us to be in any type of bondage. Okay. So please do stay tuned to future messages dealing with money. This will be a money series, so pay close attention and take some notes. God is definitely with us every step of the way. Continue to pray for me, and we will definitely do the things that we're supposed to do, and God will be pleased. I'm sure of it. So to God be the glory. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to subscribe today. And also, if you haven't given, we do welcome donations. And that is, of course, if you can afford to. All right. Have a great day.